Tonight we're going to hear the real life story of a married man who says that having an affair behind his wife's back actually saved rather than ruined his marriage. It's a proven fact that married men are more likely to have an affair than a married woman. 1/5 of married men have had an affair on their wife. 1/8 of married women go offside at some stage in their marriage. And while most of you would have a low opinion of someone who has an affair, one man believes that affairs are actually a good thing and can actually save a marriage. Ray says that he was married for 10 years and the marriage had become boring. They were no longer having sex and he was on the verge of leaving his wife. Then he ended up having a 2-year-long affair with a workmate, which he says saved his marriage. Have a listen to this story from Ray. He writes, "It'd be great if you could talk about affairs on your show because I think there's a lot of people need to know about them. When someone hears you had an affair, they think that you're scum, and this is not true. I'm having an affair for the past 2 years with a workmate. I'm married to my wife 10 years, and the marriage had become boring and pretty much sexless. For the last few years, my wife has lost interest in sex, and this has made me feel worthless and ugly and useless as a man. I was on the verge of leaving my wife, we don't have any kids, when I met this girl in work and we ended up having an affair. It's purely sex and excitement, but it makes me feel alive again. And having this affair has kept me in my marriage. I'm not proud of having an affair, but I think that it does save marriages. It made me realise that I love my wife, but still need that bit of excitement." And that's from a guy called Ray. Lawrence, you're on FM104. How are you, Lawrence?
Hello, Adrian. How are you?
Very well, thanks, Lawrence. What's your view on the email that we got from, what was his name, Ray, saying basically that he was about to leave his wife, he started having an affair, he feels alive again, and it's essentially saved his marriage?
To be quite honest with you, Adrian, I can fully see where that gentleman is coming from. I've been married now for just under 10 years, same as Ray, but my marriage has also gone very stale, and I've been having an affair now for nearly 3 years. And it's added great spice to my marriage, it has.
How has it added spice to your marriage? Has it not just added spice to your own life?
I could be selfish in that way. I believe the excitement has basically... I feel like a school child again, and it's added a great excitement in that, again, you know, sexually I felt very inadequate as a man, same as your listener there had in the email. And I'm looking at my wife now in a completely different shadow, and I'm kind of bordering on, do I have respect for her, respect for myself, you know? And it's just, I just think the whole danger aspect is just adding to it, you know?
But what I'm wondering is, the fact that you've been having this relationship outside your marriage for the last 3 years, is that not a sign that, to be honest, your marriage is over? Like, you should just get out of it.
You could be right, Adrian, but as far as I'm concerned, I live my life that a bird never flew on one wing. And I'm just saying, maybe if to see other women that I might appreciate my wife some more, and I believe that could be a hidden meaning behind the whole thing. But I found it just, I found my marriage from day to day was very monotonous and boring.
But isn't that just life, Lawrence?
It is life, but some people tend to accept it, life, and some don't. And maybe I'm living in a state of denial, you know, because you could be right, but I just feel I felt alive, and I think that's projecting in a positive way towards my view on my marriage, which I would like to see.
But how? Okay, so how has this 3-year relationship with this other woman? I don't know what your arrangements are when you get to see this woman, how often you get to see her, or whatever. Whether you're having sex with her and with your wife, I don't know what the setup is. But what I'm wondering is, how has it... I mean, this guy Ray says that having this affair has essentially saved his marriage because he was going to leave his wife and now he hasn't. Now, how has it, in your opinion, helped your marriage?
It's a very, very good question, to be honest with you, Adrian. It's helped my marriage, I suppose, in that I kind of know that I'm still alive as a human being. That the sense of danger is adding, sorry about the noise, is adding, you know, a bit of spice into my marriage as well. And I believe that, you know, and I'm sorry to go into too much intimate detail, but I do believe as a man that I'm, you know, able to perform better as well. And that I have now, I believe in having choices, and that extends to having more than one partner.
But then why would you have gotten married in the first place if you wanted to play the field, like?
maybe it's a good question. It's a very good question. Maybe I had a romantic view about marriage, to let do us part, and holding hands and loving till the end of time. But it didn't really work out that way in my relationship. I'm not saying others. I know two friends of mine now who are happily married, and and they've been with each other now for well over 15. Another man 20 years, but it just didn't work out like that in my case. And I just found that adding the bit of spice of life then it added. It's very hard to explain, Adrian. It just added some bounce into my existence, and that's why I still do it to this day.
What about the hurt and the pain and the heartache that will be created if your wife were ever to find out?
Well, I suppose I wouldn't like to see the woman hurt, but maybe I would probably encourage her then if she wanted to. If she wanted to have an affair, have an old relationship, because I let he is without saying.
So your answer to her finding out would be, "Oh, well, it's all right, love. Why don't you go and do the same thing?"
Pretty much, yes. It's you pretty much sums it up there, Adrian. Yeah, I would, and hopefully then the monotony would then bounce out of her life, and reflect on our relationship as human beings.
But do you think your relationship with your wife has improved, has gotten better? Do you appreciate her more since you've been with this other woman?
In a weird and warped kind of way, I do. I really, really do. I see her in a different light, and because.
But it has the things that led you into having an affair in the first place, the monotony and you didn't feel sexually fulfilled as a man and all of that, has that all gone, or is that all still there, but you can cope with it a bit better because you're getting it somewhere else?
It's a little from column A, a little from column B. I think it has dissipated to an extent, and I'm able to cope with it an awful lot better. I wake up and I know that basically I don't have to depend on her sexually in that kind of way. And I'm sorry to sound vulgar in any way, but I don't have to depend on her sexually, and I know I'm with my partner as well. But after being with her, I can go home to my wife and then feel the opposite way. Do you know what? Am I making sense? I'm not.
Yeah,
sure.
Sort of. A lot of people don't see the sense of it. Stay there for a second. Let me go to Derek, North Circular Road. You're on FM104, Derek. How are you?
How are you, Adrian?
Good, Derek. Not a bother. What's your point in all this, Derek?
I'd just like to say with them couple of fellas that were on the radio there a couple of minutes ago, right?
Yeah.
Not think maybe that the relationship has gone stale. Would it not be down to on their behalf? You know what I mean?
Well, Lawrence, the spark and whatever was gone out of your marriage, it might have been your fault.
That gentleman has a fair point. I think it could have been my fault, and some people would see that me having an affair is contributing to the deterioration of my marriage. But I suppose it could be, but. The way maybe I'm in a rut here at the moment, because at the moment I do feel like a hamster in a wheel. That if I stop, things will go back to the old way, and then but this time it'll be worse, and my marriage will end.
No, but it seems to me, Lawrence, from what you're saying, that if things have improved at all in your marriage, it's because you're making that extra little bit of effort now, are you?
I think so, and I think.
So could you not do that without having to have that outside relationship?
I think maybe that day might come, but I would like to. It's a great idea you have, and I would look forward to that day coming. Because I always wanted to be a faithful husband, which I've turned out not to be. But I think at this point in my life, no, definitely not. Definitely not. I couldn't do that.
Now there you go, Derek. It's helped him in his own.
I'd like to say now. I think them two chaps are just looking for an easy way out. That's all.
In other words, they want their cake and eat it.
That's it.
Well, Lawrence, you want your cake and eat it.
This may sound a bit arrogant of me, but I most certainly do. As I said, a bird never flew on one wing, but I do want to have my cake and eat it too. And the way I see it in my life, I can have that. And maybe when I get a bit more mature and I can put that episode behind me, but at the moment I am going to have my cake and eat it too.
So you're making a conscious decision knowing that what you're doing could cause untold hurt and pain?
Definitely. But as I said,
And as a matter of interest, do you love your wife?
I certainly do. She's problems aside, I think she's a fantastic woman. I think she's.
Is she the woman for you?
Oh yes, I do believe so. That's why I married her.
And I'm just like to say, Adrian, why can't that chap sit down and try and work the problem out? If his wife is that fantastic and good.
I mean, some people would say, Lawrence, you're running away from dealing with your problems rather than dealing with your problems with the woman that you say you love.
I probably am. I probably am running away. It probably is a state of denial, but it's something I really don't dwell on too much. And it's a good idea that your listener has brought up. Maybe we could benefit from talking or a bit of marriage counselling or something like that. But to bring back to more basic matters, men need to have sex, and I'm just not getting it at the moment. And with my affair, I am.
All right, hang on there for a moment. Anne is in Finglas. You're on FM104. Anne, how are you?
Hey, how's it going?
Hi, Anne. How are you? Now,
I'm just ringing to get a bit of advice. Like, I'm with my husband 15 years. I have 4 kids. And I think he's having an affair, and he's having an affair with my sister. I just don't know what to do.
Ooh, that's a bit of a problem. What makes you think that he's having an affair with your sister?
Oh, about 2 or 3 years ago, I walked in and I caught them in a position that they shouldn't be in, but there was sort of a denial, kind of. Mm-hmm. So I just brushed it aside, and now...
And sorry, you caught them in a position, in a compromising position a couple of years back, and has anything happened since?
Just things, like when they're together, like a family thing. They're just, I don't know, just too friendly. I just don't know what to do. Like, I'm married 15 years, like, and it's just...
But has anything happened since that has added to your belief that he's having an affair with your sister?
Well, when my mother's there, like, it's noticeable. Like, they're always either in the parlour or always in a conversation all the time. Like, I just think
so what? They're just particularly friendly.
No, there's a friendly and there's just a flirting kind of way, and it's just a flirting way all the time. And now, maybe it's just me. I could be wrong.
That's what I was just about to say. Could it be paranoia on your part because you caught them in a slightly compromising position once?
No, I don't think so.
But you've no
proof.
You've no proof ever since then that there's something going on.
No. That's why I'm ringing.
And what's your relationship like, you and your husband? Other than the fact that he might flirt a little bit and be friendly with your sister, what's your relationship like with him otherwise?
Good. It's just, we have sex 3 nights a week.
It's healthy enough.
Healthy enough. Like, it's not as if we're just avoiding each other. I just don't know. I just think there's something going on there. And I just thought one
of the things they say that one of the things that goes first if a man or a woman is having an affair is the sex starts going downhill.
Not necessarily. Like, some men just love having sex, and they like to have, if you can get it anywhere, like the wife, the mistress, wherever, like, they'll take it.
Lawrence, in your situation... Oh, Lawrence isn't there. Sorry, lads, if you want to get him back. I was about to ask Lawrence, has his sex life with his wife improved? Well, hang on there for 1 second. I have another fella here who's having an affair, and he's in Kildare. Tommy, you're on FM104. How are you, Tommy?
I'm very well, Adrian. How are you?
Not a bother, thanks, Tommy. Now, you are also having an affair, but you're actually... it says on my screen here, you're having an affair for the last 5 years.
That's correct,
you don't love your wife, but you don't want to lose her either.
Well, there's a bit of that. The fella there kind of hinted at that a minute ago, Adrian, about having your cake and eat it. You know, it's a very selfish attitude to have, I know, but I certainly I'm in that situation myself where, you know, I don't have much feelings for my missus at this point. You know, we're married 19 years, and the love life fizzled out many years ago. So, lead me to stray, if you like, over the years, you know, a couple of years into the marriage, like. Okay, so
your point being that if you weren't getting it home, you wanted to get it somewhere, and there you go.
There's no saying, Adrian, you know, if you're not getting fed at home, you're going to eat out, as simple as that, and that's what I did. And the one I'm with now at the moment, this is my longest extramarital relationship, 5 years, the longest by a mile. I do have like serious feelings for this woman. But there were many more before her, like, who were just kind of used to, you know, for purely for sex. Like, I'm sure it was the same for them as well. Some of them are married as well, you know. And what can you do? You know, things. You know, after a couple of years, I found out my missus didn't have a high sex drive. I do. I always had before we got married.
Did you not discover that before you got married?
Well, basically, listen, the old story. She got knocked up, right? Before we got married, my eldest, right? And she was pregnant, and they did the decent thing and all that. The family kind of put pressure on me. I'd no inclination to get married at all. I didn't want to. But, you know, I'm not going to sit here moaning about it and complain to you about it. I'm just saying to you, I was in a situation where she was pregnant, we got married, but it was the wrong decision. And now, at this point in my life, I'm well into my 40s now. And I own, you know, it's very unlikely I'll be able to own another house in my lifetime, not in this country.
Oh, right, so you're staying with her because you don't want to give up your house, is that it?
That's the main reason, you know, and I suppose for a bit of company, and she's a very needy person, like, so I'm thinking of her feelings as well, you know, it's not just about me. But I need, as I said, I was a player before I got married. I used to play all the time, and I have a high sex drive, and I still have one, even though I'm well into my 40s now. I still have a very high sex drive.
But the point here is, Tommy, that so what? You're staying with her because you don't want to leave your house and end up living in a bedsit.
That's the main reason. A lot of you know, my friends of my age group, I see that happen to them, and they get separated and they get fleeced. And it's not going to happen to me, you know. I'm not giving up my gaff just because my bleeding marriage is stale. Do you know what I mean? Why should I? I bleeding grafted all the years for my gaff, so there's no way I'm going to be leaving.
Can I? Let me just go back to Anne for a sec. Are you still there, Anne?
Yeah, I'm still
Sorry,
here, yeah.
somebody's just suggested that perhaps your husband isn't having an affair. He just likes flirting with your sister because she gives him a lift, and that's it. You're reading too much into it.
No, I don't think so. I'm a very open-minded person, and I think there's more to it. I really do. Right.
You're absolutely convinced.
I'm convinced, yeah. I just don't know what to do. So that's why I'm ringing you to see if you can give me any...
Mary, you're on FM104. How are you, Mary?
I'm fine now. Well, I'm not fine. No, I'm not that fine, actually.
Go on, what's wrong with you?
I think that fella, Lawrence, is my son-in-law.
You think...
Married to my daughter, Adrian.
Lawrence, are you still there?
I most certainly am.
Aye, that's you. I know your voice anywhere. He's married to my daughter, I'm sure of it.
It's actually quite. I've just received a text message from my wife that she's heard me, and I've just been given my marching orders.
I've heard you too. You get on the radio and you tell the world that you're having an affair and you're married to my daughter. And that's your own, isn't it?
No, it's not.
Sorry, Lawrence, you just said you got a text from your wife saying what?
Basically that I've heard you, and I actually have it here. I couldn't believe my ears that I'm certain it's you. I was you on the radio, and I never want to see you again. So I'm a bit distressed at the moment. But I suppose if this day was probably coming, it was that you know. If I play from the field, that I could get caught, and as it turns out,
I said that to you only 10 minutes ago.
And that's when I was cut off just the first time round. I was literally off the phone, and my mobile went, and I have it here in front of me, the text message.
And what? How do you feel?
Well, I suppose I'm a little bit upset. I'm a bit gutted, but I mean, it was luck would run out. It is bound to run out at some time or another. I mean, the relationship was skating on thin ice with hot blades at this stage, and as it's going on the radio tonight has probably been my biggest mistake. I've just after shooting myself in the foot, so I've only myself to blame. But I'll try. She's not. She's a very she's very easy to convince woman. She wouldn't be exactly strong-minded, so I suppose I'll be able.
Well, you're really adding insult to injury now, Lawrence. If she's still listening,
I don't. She probably is listening, and I'm probably, you know, holding a gun to my head. But I'll talk to her. I'll talk to her because I'm sure I'll probably have to insinuate that she's having an affair as well.
You think she is?
That's not really a matter of whether she is or not. It's a way out for me, as far as I'm concerned. But I mean, she probably is having an affair with a friend of mine. But I'll just say that anyway to try to get the blame off to get me out of the limelight.
You really are a man who's sorry, Mary. Whether he's your son-in-law or not, what do you make of stories like this?
Listen, I know who he is. I know who he is.
Mm-hmm.
And he's dead.
Fair enough. Kieran, you're on FM104. We leave that little family dispute to resolve itself, whether it's for real or not. Kieran, you're on FM104. How are you, Kieran?
Oh yeah. Well, what my comment was going to be has just happened. Did that man think that nobody else listens to the radio? That his wife was going to find out. And another point was, if he was anyway decent and if he thought anything of his wife, why didn't he just leave her and not put her through the agony and pain of listening to him coming on the radio, telling the nation that he's having an affair and making her look like a fool?
Mm.
Lawrence,
I have to say you've added insult to injury by saying you're going to start accusing her of having an affair and what have you. You really know how to dig a hole for yourself.
I know. Maybe when you're in the hole, put down the shovel and stop digging. But then again, sometimes the best defense is a good offense. I mean, she's not Mrs. Perfect herself, but
you didn't bring a shovel into the hole, sir. You brought a JCB.
Sorry, say that again, Kieran.
I say he didn't bring a shovel into the hole. He brought a JCB. To do the digging. Give your wife a bit of respect, even though if you don't love her, give her a bit of respect, and don't humiliate the poor woman. I don't know her. I don't know you. But don't humiliate. No woman deserves to be humiliated like that by you coming on telling everybody that you're having an affair and that your sex life isn't great. Give her a break, for God's sake. At least do the decent thing and leave her and say, right, it's over. Good luck. Thanks very much. But don't. That's the lowest form of a scumbag that ever I heard, coming on to a national radio and telling everybody that your sex life is crap and that you're having an affair and your poor wife sitting at home probably listening to it. At least have a bit of decency and keep your mouth shut and get on with your life.
Sorry, I beg your pardon, sir. What? This may seem a bit on a tangent, but what line of work, roughly, you don't have to be too descriptive, that you do for a living?
I'm a truck driver.
Well, I think you should be a marriage counsellor by the way you're going on here this evening.
I am married.
I think you should give up the truck driving job and become a marriage counsellor.
If I was going to leave my wife, the last thing I do will be tell the bloody nation what I'm doing.
Well, to be honest with you now, I'd say you probably have played away from home yourself, sir, because...
Whether he did or not is his own business. The point being, and just to read out a text, Adrian, I just want to say I'm delighted that Lawrence fella was caught out. Cheating really saved your marriage, Lawrence, didn't it? Says another texter.
And I would like to add, I'm married for 12 years, and I have not played away from home yet. And the day that it ever came into my head that I was going to play away from home, the first one I would tell would be my wife. At least I'd have that much respect for her, that I wouldn't let her find out from some radio station or somebody else going up and telling her, oh, by the way, your husband's having an affair.
Well, let me go back to Tommy, who's on the other line, who's also having an affair. Tommy, you're not worried about your mother-in-law ringing in and hopping you off the wall?
Well, at this point, my mother-in-law is dead anyway. It's not even an issue, But, Jesus, it's farcical what's going on there with your man, You can't really tell, you tell you have a pinch of salt,
You're worried about...
It says to me, the guys in that bloke, it says myself, he's probably gone beyond the point where he doesn't give a damn in any way what happens at this point, you know what I mean?
And is that
I don't actually care now if I get caught, You go so far as you don't care anymore, like. So, and to be honest with you, to get any kind of reaction from me missus, if I got any kind of reaction, even if it's hatred, at least it's a bleeding something,
What do you say to that, Kieran? If his relationship, he may as well be married to a log. He gets no reaction from her about anything, so even if he got a reaction, if it was hatred, he'd be happy enough with that.
Yeah, well do the decent thing and let the log go. But let it go with a bit of dignity. You obviously thought something of this woman when you got
listen,
married,
pal, you put your
whenever
list down,
sex with her, at least have a bit, let her
Listen,
go with
pal,
a bit of
listen.
dignity. Let her go with her head held high, instead of all her mates looking at her thinking, ha ha, he was having an affair, and by the way, he went on the radio and he told everybody else about it.
Listen, pal,
Jesus,
listen, you know what you're
give her a
talking
bit of
about. You said you've stayed faithful to your missus. Good luck to you. But not every man can do that.
No, I'm not saying that every man can do it, but at least
I can't do it, really. I didn't
leave.
plan on marrying my missus. It just bleeding happened. It was more or less forced into it. And then
Yeah,
I'm in
well,
a
that's
situation
fair
where
enough,
I'm married to a
that's fair
woman
enough, but at least-
who doesn't like a bit of the other. I can't live like that.
Okay, fair enough. You might have been forced into it, and that whatever happened.
That
But
is
at
what
least
happened.
give her a bit of dignity and let her go.
But why
with a
should
bit
I
of
lose my
pride
house at this point in my life?
instead
I'm
of
in my
coming on the
40s, I'm not going to
radio,
lose my house.
telling everybody, and then going home and telling her when she's already found out, and half her mates walking around Dublin's going to tell her tomorrow anyway.
Why should I lose my house at this stage in my life? Why should I lose my house? Tell me that.
Well, why didn't you leave her before you got so involved?
Listen, we won't think another. Do you know what I mean? Everything was rosy in the garden. It was all right for a couple of years. And you get a bit
well, come here, you're saying everything was rosy in the garden for...
having a bit in the side.
You're saying everything was rosy in the garden for a couple of years. Like, did you ever have like a good sex life?
In the first year or two, before we started having kids, she was all right, you know. Not now as much as I'd be into, but she was, looking after me like in that end of things. But once the kids came, and so I believe it's a common thing, when women have kids, it's very common to lose their sex drive and their libido. So that's what happened in my end, and I had to find it elsewhere. Simple as that. And I don't have an iota of guilt about it either. Do you know what I mean? At this point in my life, I'm in well into 40s. You know what I mean? I'm going to enjoy what few years I have left on this earth. And if that means I'm playing around, once she doesn't find out, I don't see how it does any harm at all. I played the field before I got married. I'm playing the field now, and
But
I don't see the harm
as I said to you, Tommy, a lot of people wonder, like, why the hell did you get married in the first place? And I know you're saying you were kind of forced into it and what have you. Why didn't you force yourself back out of it again?
Well, Adrian, as I say, it wasn't as simple as that. She came from a certain family. It wasn't that easy for me to back out of the situation. I'm not going to go into detail, but she came from a certain family, a notorious family, right? And it wasn't that easy. And even to this day, if I left her today, but I'm gone so far now. I don't really
imagine what would happen if they're the sort of family you're saying, Tommy. What would happen if they found out that you've been shagging some other woman for the last 5 years behind her back?
Adrian, for years, I worried about that very thing, right? But now I'm gone so far in my life now that you know what? If it came out of the closet, I couldn't give a damn what happens to me. So be it. You know what I mean? Our family are bleeding loopers. To be telling you straight, right? They're bleeding loopers. They'd have me bleeding. I'd be killed, stone dead. But I don't care, Adrian. I don't care. At this point in my life, in my mid-40s, I used to worry about that when I was in my 20s, like, Jesus, I'd be killed if I ever left her. I don't give a damn at this point.
You don't care. All right, let me go to Suzanne. You're on FM104. Suzanne, how are you?
I am not too bad, thanks.
Good, Suzanne. What's your point, please?
And I'm absolutely disgusted. Like, it's actually sick. Like, why would you get married in the first place if you didn't love the person and you're going to cheat on them? And, like, your man, he's in his 40s, is he?
Tommy is in his 40s,
yeah. I'm in his 40s, love, yeah.
Yeah, you're in your 40s. Well, like, still, I think you should actually just tell her, like, that's not fair on her. You don't care what happens to you.
Why should I lose my house now after all these years? Me grafting for me gaff. Why should I lose my gaff just because my marriage breaks up?
I'm not telling you to lose your gaff, but at least
that's
tell
what will happen,
maybe
that's
she
what will
wants
happen.
to go on.
It'll go to the court. It'll lose me bleeding house.
For a second, like, you're a total asshole for doing that on the court.
It'll go to the court. It'll lose me house. I'm not doing it.
Is she in her 40s or something like that now as well?
She is too, in her 40s,
she could still move on, like, while she's still young or something, find someone else. Like,
How old are you?
Treat her like shit.
How old are you?
You probably don't treat her like shit, but
How old are you?
That's so unfair.
How old are you?
I'm 17 years old.
You haven't got a bleeding clue. Come back in a few years and you have a bit of bleeding.
I haven't got a bleeding clue. Oh my God, don't get me started. You haven't got a clue if you're cheating on your wife.
You're a bleeding child. My house is bleeding older than you are. You will get out with her. You're too bleeding young. You have no opinion.
Do you obviously can't understand why somebody would get married?
I actually do understand. Like everyone gets married, and like he probably was with the girl for years and stuff before and all. Like, actually, and he did fall in love with her and all. But like, I'm 17, and I do understand the whole reason of it. But to cheat on someone, that's even
at 17,
like, have you lost your sex drive with her or something?
Suzanne, even at 17, young people rip each other off left, right, and centre.
Yeah, well, I don't agree with any of that crap anyways. They should just leave the people, like, if they're going to do that, because it's just totally unfair, like. And, like, think about that other woman as well. That's just totally misleading her, and she could fall, like, she should
Actually, Tommy, as a matter of interest, we never talked about that other woman. What's your arrangement, for want of a better word, with her? Like,
she's Asian. She's a separated lady in her late 30s.
Mm-hmm.
She has 2 grown children, like myself. And she's basically separated from her husband, and she's looking for a bit of fun with no strings attached. She's not looking for any commitments of me. She knows my situation. She's happy with that situation, and it's purely like company, a bit of socialising when we can, and of course, sex life. We have
and she's happy with that arrangement with you going home to your wife.
And Lawrence, women in the past who were not happy with that, and they got to a point where they had to get out of there.
Now, and Lawrence, what's your situation with the woman that you've been seeing? Was she happy with that arrangement?
She actually is unaware that I am, or from tonight was married.
She's no idea you're married.
No, I make sure to take my wedding ring off anytime I visit her.
And how have you managed to get away with that for like 2 years or whatever? She never wondered where you live, or?
To be honest, in a short answer to your question, Adrian, without blowing my own trumpet, I'm a lot smarter than women give me credit for. And that young lady that's on the phone, 17 years of age, as admirable as what she's saying, I don't think she's able to comprehend the gravity of marriage and relationships and affairs. Because
no, what you're doing on your wife is wrong. And then saying that you're going to accuse her of having an affair, that's just stupid.
Well, I learned that when I was younger than you were.
I'm too young to understand. Oh my God, are you an absolute twat? Like, seriously, you just told your wife practically, because she heard you like saying what you're saying on the radio, and then you're actually practically telling her that you're going to accuse her of having an affair just because she caught you out.
But as I said, she's a very weak-minded woman anyway, but that's beside the point.
Oh my God,
but
you're digging yourself a bigger hole.
Whoever gets married when you're older.
You're an absolute gobshite, like seriously.
I mean, I have to say, Lawrence, the digging yourself a bigger hole thing is the bit that's really knocking me for 6 as well, I have to tell you.
Hilarious it is, like, because he's just so stupid. And
because Lawrence,
and I can't understand.
I think a lot of people listening now can't understand why you haven't hung up the phone and switched off your phone and put your head under your pillow and tried to make it all go away, because...
To be quite honest with you, Adrian, if you were married to my wife, you would... I'm not going to try to explain because we'd be here all evening, but if you're married to my wife, you'd know. But I'd just like to say to that young lady, because I know you don't have much time left on your show here, that if she ever does get married, and what I'm saying is, what she's saying that is very noble, but as the years go by, human beings are low by nature. I am one of them. I'm admitting it, and when it's handed to you on a plate, women always say it about men. I see women doing it, cheating on their partners as well. When something seductive is handed to you on a plate, you will go for it. And all human beings are the same.
Yeah, but it's common sense not to say it on the radio and then practically tell your wife you're going to accuse her, and then you're making yourself a bigger hole when you're saying, oh yeah, she's easy to talk and like anything into her. Like, that's just stupid.
Well,
because I know, Lawrence, unless you're... imagine if what you tell me about the text is true, that she's after losing the plot, but if I were her now, I wouldn't be switching off the radio till I knew you were gone off the radio, and now she's after hearing all the extra stuff. You've added insult to injury by saying the stuff you've said. Jerry, you're on FM104. How are you? Yes, Jerry, how are you?
I'm no fool, and I'm 51 for Tom and Lons there, you know.
Good man.
And you see them two, I hope their ex-partners take them for every shilling they have, because the two of them are after committing adultery on the radio, admitting that they're committing adultery in marriage. And I tell you, it'll be 50-50 there. So your man won't be sitting in his house down there, that Tom fella, because his wife will take him for every fucking shilling now that he has.
Well, there you go, Tommy.
Well, that's why I'm staying in the relationship, pal. You're not listening to me. That's why I'm not going to let it get that far. I'm going to stay in the marriage. I'm not losing the gas.
She's listening to you tonight, takes her into court.
I'm not losing the court.
All sorted out, yeah?
I'm not going to any court. My missus thinks everything's rosy in the garden. There's no
issue.
There's no issue, mate. There's no issue.
Oh, there's no issue, is there not?
My missus doesn't know nothing about what I'm up
to.
She knows nothing.
You know what, you haven't a clue.
She knows nothing.
You'd have the best of women, and you're walking away there. No matter what, I see it every day of the week. The fellas with the best boards in the world, and they walk away, and they make a complete another mess of it.
Well, you were part of the relationship, have you?
Very happy relationship, yeah.
Well, geez, bully for you, pal. Bully for
Bully
you.
for you, and I tell you one thing, you're in the same boat, coming on the radio like that.
Not everyone's in the same boat.
Telling the nation you're committing adultery.
I don't give a balls what I'm bleeding now. That means nothing to me.
I tell you now, when you get a solicitor in the next week or so,
anyway. That means
anyway.
nothing to me.
Huh?
That means adultery. That means nothing to me.
I
don't believe in religion anyway. That means nothing to me.
Want.
I'm getting me kicks. That's all the bleeding. I'm getting me in the way. That's the main thing.
That's all that matters. That's all that matters to you, Tommy. And Tommy,
it is. I'm a very physical person. It is very important to me.
And you've grown up kids, Tommy, have you?
I have 2 grown up kids.
In the sad day, when you have people like that going on like that, bragging to the nation that they're committing adultery on the radio.
Well, to some people, Jerry, the word adultery doesn't really mean an awful lot, and it sounds to me like...
It means nothing to me, Adrian. It means nothing to me.
When it comes into court and they want to know if the marriage has failed.
How do you get out? What are you, bleeding judge? What do you know about it?
I've seen it. I have experience of it.
You've experienced
of what? I've experience of it, not my own experience.
Who are you cheating on?
I'm not cheating on nobody.
So how do you know about it then, so?
I have a close friend who did it, and most him, and he was taken for every shilling. And I'm delighted he was taken for every shilling because he went off and he'd done something he shouldn't have done.
I'm too wide for that. Won't happen to me.
Oh, yeah. The other fella Lawrence was too wide a minute ago, wasn't he?
Alright, I want to bring in another couple of calls on this. Tom, you're on FM104. How are you, Tom?
I'm not so bad.
Good, Tom.
Is that Tommy guy serious? Because he says everything's rosy in the garden. To be honest, I think he's got to worry about the bedroom, not the garden. Because if he's out one side, his wife has to be out of the other. You know?
How would you feel, Tommy? How would you feel, Tommy, if your missus was having an affair?
I wouldn't have it, Adrian.
But you know, unless I deserve it.
Plain and simple, I wouldn't have it.
You wouldn't have it?
I wouldn't have it, no, at all.
Well, how would you know? If you think you're deceiving her, how would you know
I was a player before I got married. She wasn't. I was always a player. I see it's all right for me to do it now, but there's no way. I wouldn't put up with her doing it.
Tommy, can I ask you a question?
You can ask me a question, go ahead.
When your wife got with you, were you a player?
When she got with me?
Yeah, when she got with you, you were a
player.
I
was, very much so, and she knew
I was.
Yeah, well,
listen, women are stupid. When women know you're a player, you're always a player. To be honest, I think she's playing you. You know what I mean?
If you were listening earlier on the meeting, I would have told you. She got knocked up, right?
Your back. Because
she got knocked up. It wasn't
planned. Don't give women enough credit. You know what I mean? To be honest, I think they're smarter than men. When it comes to deviousness, women are smarter. And I think, Tommy, to be honest, you're missing off your brain cells if you're thinking your wife doesn't know that you're cheating.
She doesn't know. She hasn't got a bleeding clue.
Oh, because why? Because she never told you she knows.
She hasn't got a clue.
Tommy,
she hasn't bleeding no one up there.
Smell the roses. She knows you're cheating, but you're bringing in the bread.
Tommy, you said you're in your mid-40s or whatever.
Yeah, indeed, yeah.
Right.
That explains it.
You mustn't have, or I don't know your circumstances, but you probably don't have donkey's years left on your mortgage, do you?
No. The house is nearly paid for.
The house is nearly paid for.
That explains it. See, Tommy, that explains it. Your wife is smart.
So why don't you do the
house? You know what I mean? Then she can divorce you, and then she owns half a house, if not the full house. To be honest, because you just made on.
No, she won't.
10 years or so, I might take stock of things and say, well, we'll have a look at the situation. But you know, I kind of like being in the house with me missus. As strange as it may seem.
She's already taken stock of things. She knows from the beginning.
How do you bleed? No, you don't even know my missus. What are you talking about?
Going to have you in the end.
You don't bleed nothing. You don't even know my missus or my situation.
Well, listen, how do you know? See, if I was with your missus, you wouldn't know because...
Listen, bro, you don't know bleed nothing. My missus doesn't know fucking nothing. She believes it, I tell her. That's the way it is.
Let me go back to the... Tom, let me go back to the point that was made earlier on. I think it was by Lawrence, that he believes that having an affair has saved his marriage because it's made him feel alive again. What about that point?
Well, the only point I can make, then Lawrence hasn't been satisfying his wife. And he thinks his marriage is alive again because he's been satisfying some other woman. But to be honest, Lawrence, come on, man. Your marriage is alive because you're sleeping with another woman. So she has to be sleeping with another man. Like, what sparked the romance in her marriage? Like, you're not doing it for her, or what's going on? Because these lads are assuming that their wives are stupid. Listen, something has to be wrong in the bedroom before you go looking somewhere else. And if you go in looking somewhere else and you're not satisfying your wife, then she's going to look somewhere else. So the only reason it keeps them in a marriage and in a relationship must be money. And the line of Tommy there, obviously enough, it's the house. Because he says in another couple of years, his house is going to be paid for.
There's no question that my missus wasn't satisfied in the bedroom, pal. The bottom line is she's not interested
we all know
in
women can
sex.
fake it. Do you know what I mean? I
She's
often
not
fake an
interested
orgasm.
in sex. That's
But
the bottom line here.
Tommy, if you're messing around, your wife
That's the bottom line here.
Don't be
I'm
telling me your wife
interested in sex
is doing it for you if you're looking at with another woman. Because obviously you're talking crap. If your wife is satisfying you, why would you look at another woman?
That's what I'm saying to you. She's not bleeding satisfying me.
So maybe you're not satisfying her.
No, not at all. Listen, my missus bleeding just lost interest in sex after her kids were born. I explained that earlier on.
Tommy, have you been wearing costumes?
That's the crack.
What you say about costumes?
Maybe Tommy's been wearing the wrong costumes or something.
All right, let me go to Alan. You're on FM104. Alan, how are you?
Oh, yeah. I just want to say to Tommy there that he's an awful scumbag.
Because he's having an affair?
Yeah, exactly. If he's that much of a man, he should just admit to his wife. You know what I mean, Adrian?
Well, why should I lose my gaff, Alan? You tell me that.
Sorry?
Why should I lose my gaff at this stage of my life? Why should I put losing my house at risk at this point in my life? Why should I do that?
Because when she does find out, you're going to lose your house. And anyway, when she finds the divorce,
just paid for, we can bleed and split the house then.
Sorry?
What's the yoke? My house will be paid in about another 10 years. It's not paid for another 10 years.
Well, here, Tommy, I want to read a text that's after coming in, and let me see if this knocks you sideways. Or maybe it won't faze you at all.
Go on.
This is Tommy's wife, and Tommy is written in inverted commas. He's a scumbag. Don't ever come near me again, you bastard. He faked his name, but I know your voice. You're a scumbag. I hate your guts.
Now, sick now, you fucking doughboy.
That's not bleeding. I don't believe that for a minute. That's not whole.
Yeah, you said you had 2 grown kids.
Yeah, the 2 grown kids. What about it?
Are they male or female?
One of each.
Yeah, well, I hope your grown son kicks the bollocks out of you when they find out.
And
somebody... Will you get away with that? Will you bleeding tick? You get on threatening me. How do you think you are?
I'm not threatening you. I'm only saying.
What are you going on with you bleeding tick? How old are you?
And sorry, somebody else just texted in. Tommy, everybody in Darndale knows who your wife is, and are you still robbing?
Nothing to say to that, Adrian. Nothing to say to that at all.
Yeah, no comment.
We're not talking about that, Eddie. We're not talking about where I'm from, what I get up to. We're not talking about that. We're talking about bleeding, having affairs, playing the field, which is what I do.
And
do you know what, Adrian? You know what? A lot of jealous people out there, isn't there? A lot of jealous people out there.
What, jealous about you?
Jealous because I'm bleeding and have me cake and eating it. Women can't fucking hack that.
Here's a question for you. Have you daughters?
I've one daughter. I told you, one son, one daughter. Yeah.
One daughter and one son. Okay. Your daughters, they're both grown.
Yeah, they're both late teens, early 20s. Yeah.
Anybody? Neither of them married. Okay, but imagine your daughter in a couple of years' time, she gets married, man of her dreams, and in a couple of years' time, you find out that he's having an affair on your daughter, your pride and joy, your little daughter.
Yeah.
What would you do?
I'd break his legs, Adrian, now straight. Break his legs.
So isn't that such a contradiction, though?
I don't give a damn what it is. I'm just telling you, if it's my young one that happened to her, to break her, I'd break his legs. Plain and simple, out straight, that's it.
One rule for you.
That's exactly what I was about to say.
Right?
One rule for you and one rule for your daughter's husband.
Listen, I have my own models. I have my own outlook on life, Adrian. It's worked for me up until the last 40-odd years. It works, and I'm going to keep doing it. It works for me. I'm not saying it works for everybody else, but it works for me. And I'm happy where I am at in my life. You know what I mean? And I'm getting what I want. And as I say, a lot of women out there are very, very jealous. And a lot of blokes, but the sounds of it as well, because I'm having my cake and eat it. And they haven't got the balls to do it.
All right, I want to bring in just 1 or 2 more calls. Anne, you're on FM104. Hello, Anne.
Hello, I just wanted to ask him.
Yes, go on.
Why is he doing this with his wife? Does he love her?
Don't think so, do you, Tommy?
We have affection for her at this stage in my life. There's some affection there, that's all there is.
No, I'm asking, do you love her?
No, I don't love her. I have affection for her.
Why don't you leave her?
What?
Why don't you leave her?
I'm not explaining. I don't want to lose my house. That's why I'm not leaving her.
So you're keeping a wife to keep a house?
Yeah, mate, more or less.
And you said you have a daughter. How old is your daughter?
She's 19, going on 20.
19. So you wouldn't let me break her heart?
No, I'm going in.
But you married a woman you married and you broke her heart.
Well, that's a different story, isn't it?
Why is it a different story?
Because if you listen to what I said earlier on, we'll get into it.
It doesn't matter how you get into it.
It does bleeding matter. It matters a lot. Her bleeding family are bleeding loopers. That's why I ended up bleeding mine on both sides. Because I'm bleeding head cases.
You would be dead now.
I would be bleeding. If I was bleeding late back 19 years ago, I'd be bleeding brown bread. I would.
Yeah, because you are one wanker.
Is that right, yeah?
And you'll end up with nobody.
You
and
probably
the
got
girl
dumped
that's with you
yourself,
now
did you?
want to leave you because
Did you get dumped yourself?
you're just going to pass yourself on to somebody else.
Did you
So
get
you're
dumped
passing
yourself,
on
did you?
diseases. You're passing on diseases.
Did you get dumped yourself?
Oh, no. I'm
Well,
quite
no,
happy
your son gave
married.
you a bleeding elbow because you're passing.
No. Your
Well,
problem
you
is
sound like a
you
bleeding
think you're better
geriatric.
than everybody else. But like
You sound like a bleeding geriatric
I
there.
say you're the most ugliest bastard. You're a charmer.
And a lot of people probably
You're
think
a
the same.
fucking charmer.
Tommy, why don't you? I have to tell you, you'd be quite surprised with the amount of people texting in who know exactly who you are. Know exactly who you are.
You know, as I said earlier on, you know what, Adrian? At this stage of my life, I don't actually give a balls. If it comes out, it comes out. I actually don't. I'm going so far this whole thing. I don't give a bollocks really if it happens, you know.
Mind the language, Tommy. Well, okay, just on that lovely note, I'm going to leave it at that. There's 2 marriages that, the conversation started from an email from somebody saying, an affair has saved my marriage, it's put the spark back into it. There's 2 marriages I don't think that are going to go very far after this show tonight.